So the people described in the Bible cover the gamut from the wealthy to the poor, the prideful to the humble, and everything in between. Today we're going to look at several people who were born with what they viewed to be setbacks in life, and we'll see how God still used them to do great things. So I'm sure you aren't surprised by this, but every single one of us are broken and imperfect in different ways. Our bodies don't match the spirit that lives inside of us. We have minds that can wander, bodies that can age, the plans for our lives crumble, we crack under pressure. Who would want to use broken vessels like us? Well, guess what? God does. You can't plant crops without the soil being broken first. Birds can't emerge from an egg until the shell gets broken. This glow stick right here, it can't glow and do what it's supposed to do until it gets broken. Jesus saved all of mankind when his body was broken on a cross. Max Lucado says, "It's not the strength of the vessel that matters. It's the strength of the one who can use the vessel." And the first broken vessel we're going to talk about today is Moses. So God called Moses in Exodus chapter 4, but Moses didn't immediately say, "Yes, let's do this," because he was more focused on his inadequacies. So Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow in speech and tongue." Exodus 4:10. So you might have already known that Moses was slow in speech, what most scholars would think to be a speech impediment or some kind of stutter. But what I want us to focus on here is the second half of that verse, when Moses says, "Neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant." Just because God calls you to do something doesn't mean he's going to remove what you view to be that weakness in your life. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." So let's continue. The Lord said to him, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak, and I will teach you what to say." Exodus 4:11 and 12. Now these verses here are important for all of us to hear, because you might be born with something that you don't like about yourself. Well, God made you just the way that you are to bring him glory. He will be with you and help you along the way if you'll put your faith in him, which is what we see Moses do. But even putting his faith in God, Moses still didn't feel equipped to do the work that God set before him. So God sent his brother Aaron to serve as a speaker to help Moses when he approached Pharaoh. Maybe you don't feel equipped to do the work that God's called you to do, that you just aren't enough, even though you were called. Well, good news, because Moses isn't the only one who was like that. In the New Testament, Paul didn't feel equipped either. He says, "Although I am less than the least of all the Lord's people, this grace was given me to preach to the Gentiles the boundless riches of Christ." Ephesians 3:8. So Paul's acknowledging here, he's not some high and lofty priest. He's just a servant in the hands of the Lord, being used by his Spirit. And Paul also battled with a thorn in his flesh that God chose not to remove. This thorn that without God would have drastically hindered his ministry. In order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So we don't know what Paul's thorn was that he's referring to here. It could have been a physical condition, chronic disease, or mental illness. Since he says he was given a messenger of Satan, this also could mean a sinful desire that he had to overcome, because we're made new creations, but we still live in bodies, physical bodies, that have to deal with the effects of sin. And sometimes we'll have thoughts that will creep in that are not from the Spirit. They're from that sin nature that we were born with, and that we have to put death to every day. So Paul says in Romans 7, we know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. Romans 7:14-16. So this thorn, whether physical or mental, was something that God kept in place in Paul's life. And the Spirit strengthened Paul so that he could boast in his weakness that came because of this thorn, showcasing God's power. God's strength was shown through Moses and his speech impediment, as he was the one called to speak to Pharaoh, demonstrating again that it's the power of God that would free his people. So if you don't feel equipped, it could be because you're trying to do it in your own strength. And it's the Spirit working inside you that will equip you to do the works of the kingdom. I wish I could go on and on about this, but this video would be way too long. So if you want me to deep dive certain Bible figures more and really go into them as people and what they dealt with and how they overcame, I would love to do it. Please leave comments down below if you want those type of videos, and if there's certain Bible characters you'd like me to deep dive, put them down there. I'd love to get into a series on different figures in the Bible. So please, anything you'd like to see, just leave it down below. And as always, if you have comments or questions, please leave comments. You can email me at codyscardcloset@gmail.com. I'd love to hear if you have prayer requests as well, so that I can be praying over that. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so when next week's video goes up, you're notified so you can come back and watch it. And make sure you share these videos when you see them come up, because God's Spirit is working through all of us. Just like he was working through Moses, he was working through Paul, and he's going to make sure that this video gets to who needs to see it. So please help me out by sharing the video, getting word out that these are going on. And thanks for joining me today. Have a great week. God bless.